to the Athletes in Motion podcast, From Race to Recovery, with your hosts, Tom Riegel and Kenny Bailey.
Hey, Kenny, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Tom. How are you?
I'm fantastic as well. We are here in 2025. Let's get this one started. We're middle of January. This is running me over, to be honest with you. I'm having a hell of a time.
It's going fast, isn't it?
I've got a lot to get onto this year. We're gonna have a really good year, but we wanted to get the podcast kicked off again in the right way, just with us, because we want to talk about a couple of things. Mainly, we'll get into the meat of it being like planning for the year. That seems to be what everybody's focused on right now, is that we're all trying to plan our seasons out if we haven't. And then there's a few of us that have planned out the next 3 seasons, which is
I haven't planned out February, but that's all right.
a whole different mental illness issue. So, how were your holidays? Did we get through everything okay? You guys, your family did good.
Yeah.
We're all set there.
Yeah, holidays were fun. Got through everything. Like you said, we had a little bit of a snowstorm here last week. That was our first one for the year. I got a new gravel bike that I haven't ridden because it's either been 12 degrees or snowing. Or I had the flu. But other than that, I have a new bike and no place, no time to ride it. But
staring at it.
Staring at it. Every day I come home and it gives me those sad little eyes.
It's beautiful.
I'm sorry.
That's beautiful.
How about you, sir?
I might throw a picture up here on that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Made it. Surprisingly, made it through the holidays. Did a race on New Year's Eve just to finish the year off, right?
What race was that?
Wrap up, but I did the Run Undead down in Pelham, Alabama, at the Oak Mountain State Park. Kind of dropped into a 50K at the last minute,
like you do,
and had a blast. Wendy and Rosie hung out while I did loops on a 5-mile awesome. Loop. Finished just before midnight, so that ended the year. So I've sort of been in the training mode already.
That's great.
Kind of carried through some winter stuff, which I'm very happy with being able to do, and just finally back in the pool this week.
How does it feel?
My sinuses hate me. They absolutely hate me. I was enjoying.
That's a new thing, huh? Yeah.
A couple of months of actually being able to breathe with no sinus headaches, droopy runny nose, any of that stuff. Was kind of nice to go through the holidays that way. And I was dreading getting back in the pool because I knew this was going to happen. Yeah. And I've been in the pool 2 times this week, and I hate that.
I'm sorry.
So I love the swimming. Swimming's good. That's not as far off as I was expecting it to be, but
that's hilarious.
The swim thing and the sinuses, that's why I'll be squinting and hopefully not sneezing and sounding really horrible on this podcast. So this year, what are we looking at for this year? I think we mentioned it in previous podcasts. We have something coming up together, but what are you dialing in? How are you prepping? And what do you, like you said, you didn't have February planned out yet, but what's the year look like?
Well, actually, ironically, you've got my February planned out. So, as my tri coach. So, in all seriousness, I've got, we signed up for Louisville half Ironman. I've been, the last couple of years, I've been doing really flat ones. I did, Oregon, it was a really flat half. California was flat. I think this one's going to be a little bit different. That's going to be exciting and fun. So February, we both agreed that in February is when I'm going to start sort of the official training. So over the winter, it's sort of lift heavy things and, continue to do the workout program, continue to try to keep the weight down.
It's always a challenge, right?
Even though I'm heavier now than I was last year, but that was heavy muscle, not heavy fat. So, and just try not to get injured. I did a light trail run and nothing hurt, which is good, which is kind of nice. And I think so to me, I think I've been holding off until February to get started. I kind of had a personal trainer working on those smaller muscles. I was working on stabilizer muscles with band work and stuff like that. Cause I knew coming into, I generally don't have really good stabilizer muscles. Those are the things I need to work on. Quads are working, glutes are working, but it's IT band. It's, balance between the left leg and the right leg and not, getting my glute to fire on my left side so it doesn't try to trickle down to my leg and start blowing my calves up. So that's been the focus for the off season. And now it's like, okay, time to do what you're doing, right? Time to get back in the pool, time to start getting bricks, time to start getting on a bike. My poor bikes would love that. So we're getting geared up for that. So.
Yeah. And I think you did a good job, certainly building that stability and trying to be more durable. I think that's the focus we always try for, is to make ourselves durable. We don't do lateral movement very well. So working on those small stabilizer muscles, I think that's key for everybody to be working on. And now's the time, right? You can do this stuff easy at home. You don't have to go to the gym to do stuff like this. You can stand on one leg while you're in the kitchen working on something. All you got to do is just these little pieces that kind of build that stability up and makes you a little bit more durable. So then we'll sit down in February and we'll start dealing out the plan. Races in August. I believe it's August 17th.
That's correct.
So that gives us a nice run up for that, I think, with the work you've done in the fall. And hopefully, I mean, we're supposed to get some single digit temperatures here in the next week. So we're in the south.
That's right. Well, and that's the thing. I think February is a good time to start being able to do it. And I think for me, what I need to be able to do is, and we haven't talked about it, but I think my job is completely overwhelming at this point. So it's just try to figure out how to find that balance between, like, look, the place isn't going to blow up if I'm not there for an hour. Like, how do I push that off to one side and maintain focus, right? And be able to do that and be able to separate my brain to do training time now versus work time.
Yeah,
and I think it's a challenge everybody has, right?
It's trying to pull that apart. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that is. So what helps you define what your season is going to look like? So when you're looking at, we put the big hairy thing up there. It's the 70.3. So that's in place. Yeah. What are the surrounding races? What is the setup and ramp up to be? What is that? How do you look at that when you're kind of thinking about it? What's the mental process that you're running through with that?
Yeah, I think, for me, what's my anchor race? What's my A race, right? So August is now the run up for that. So any prep races are designed to be prepared for the August race. So, for example, I want to be able to do a half marathon. If August is when we're going to do the race, late June, early July, it'd be nice to get a half marathon on the books and be able to race a half marathon where you have a bib and rather than just go run 13. My wife wants to do a half marathon this year too, so I think it'd be a great thing to kind of combine that thing. So I'm actually doing something with my spouse rather than ignoring my spouse. But try to do a half marathon there in order to get that side of it ready. I think that's my biggest deficit is the run. And then it's depending on smaller sprint triathlons earlier in the year, and that is really to look at focus on transitions, focus on sort of is my equipment prepped? Do I remember, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? That's how I do kind of get ready. Like, am I, and the pressure of having that, like I said, getting up early and having everything laid out before the sun gets up and that sort of pressure of the race and be able to do that.
And I think that's key. I think I'm a huge proponent of the A, B, and C races, especially the B and C races, for the fact that, like, if you put all this emphasis on one event that's out there in the distance, the pressure and the anxiety that builds up as it just keeps building and building and building, and everything seems 10 times more intense than ever. And by letting off these little releases of getting used to the butterflies in the morning on race morning, right? You don't want to get rid of them. You want to have them. That means you care. But the fact is, you don't want to have them so bad that you're throwing up and you can't function, and now the stress is just too much. The idea is to dip your toe in a little bit, work on a couple of those little things like that. That's always good. That race morning prep and ready of anything else. Even if you're doing a sprint, even if you were doing an Ironman race, you're doing some sprint races, because that's all you need is these little pieces. That early morning, getting the nutrition, figuring out, you're still getting up early. You're still having to eat. Your stomach needs to get used to that. So kind of you're training your gut at the same time. Are training the mental side of it. I think that's always huge. Then what do you look at after? I mean, August is only the middle of the year. What do you like to do to deal with, there is a down on the other side of that race, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, I'm vacillating back and forth. So there's something I like trail running. I don't do as much as I want to. And I think you and I talked about during my training session that we're going to do a lot more trail running because I need to pick my feet up and I just enjoy it. You don't look at your watch. It's not mundane. You don't trudge it on. So I'm not looking to do like a road marathon or whatever. I think it's either do probably a trail run or I have a new gravel bike and in Tennessee, it's difficult to find gravel stuff, and I haven't plugged into that culture or plugged into where the maps are at, and that kind of thing. And I would really love to be able to do like a really cool back half of the year, do a gravel race. Right,
there's gravel revival in October out in Hickman County that'd be
great,
ideal.
Yeah, so I think
such
that
a great
would be
event.
Yeah, and it's just completely different, right? So I'm not just try. And this year I decided, at least in the last couple of years, that doing a full for me at this stage in my, kind of what my sort of calendar looks like is just, it's just not in the cards. I don't have that why right now. Like I really want to do a full Ironman, because when you graduate to that one, you better have a why. I mean, it's 20, 25 hours a week. It's going to be horrible. You're going to be training in 100-degree weather in the middle of the day. You're going to be like, why am I doing this? And right now I don't have that desire. I've done a couple, I know I can do them. I just, maybe next year I'll be more cranked up for it. But right now I think getting a half done is going to be a fun balance between training where you have to get up and have that oh shit moment in the morning. Like if I don't go out and train, it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah.
But not so much that I'm, 20 hours in. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you're doing this as well, but you're also looking at a full, right?
I'm looking at a full, but this is my stretch out. So I did Lake Placid in last year, 2024, and I did good. I was happy with the race. I wasn't happy with where my bike and swim were currently, because I took the 2 years before that to work on my run, and the bike and the run took a little bit of a dip in performance. I did exactly what my training said I could do in the race, which was key. And then so I wanted to focus on that. So that's why I'm only doing the 70.3 this year, because I'm going to go back to Lake Placid. The plan is to go back to Lake Placid in 26. So I gave myself a 2-year ramp up for that. So that's my looking. This is where I look. This is how I plan my years out. I plan a couple years in advance and take the steps to get there. So I'll have some of the Magic Sports sprint races. I'll probably do Music City and Chattanooga Riverfront.
Yep.
Those two for sure. I'll be at those races regardless, so I might as well race them and have some fun. Ashland City I'll be at, but I probably won't race. We'll see. See how I'm feeling. But ultimately that my check off box for the A race is the 70.3 this year. And that will tell me where I am 1 year out from going back to Lake Placid. Okay. So my focus in the off season was lifting weights. So I did more strength training than I normally do. And really been working on that and building up core strength. I double back and go, okay, if I want to hit this goal, I need to work on swim and I need to work on bike. So what do I need to do from that point to get my swim even stronger? So I need to work on building some muscle mass, and my core needs to get more stabilized and more strong. So I've been really focused on doing that part of it, and that'll continue through the year. And I'm already, just back in the pool this week, I'm already seeing the effects of the strength training.
Great.
So I feel that glide. I feel a little bit more. I can stretch and tighten my body a little bit more. It holds form a lot better. So I'm just going to keep pounding on that thing. But my ultimate goal is 2 years down the road will be 2026 for Ironman Lake Placid to go back and do that. That's, I don't know, it's one of my favorite races of all time. Who knows how much longer they're going to have it. They keep, they just extended. I jumped into it last year because I was afraid that they weren't going to extend the contract, and they did through, I think, 26 or 27. So all of that could change depending on how the year rolls out. So there's a ton of stuff going on. So
for you then, how do you, oh, my chair, there we go. I lost me. How do you go then from August to the following year? What is the rest of 25? Is it then just training? I know you love to trail run more than I do.
I will throw some more trail runs in there for sure. Okay. I did the run undead that we just talked about, and I'll probably throw that in there again. There's some other trail runs I'd love to do. I'm a huge fan of trail running for triathletes in general and runners in general, just because it causes you to pick your feet up. It builds leg strength, and you're not the same repetitive, beating of your feet, the same stride length, all of that stuff. So I love it. It's made me stronger. It's been great. So I'll throw that in there. A lot of it's going to hinge on how I do and how I feel going into Louisville. So Louisville comes out, it's an assessment after the race, going, okay, this is on course. This is where I want to be. And then I set the next stage for where I want to be and what I need to work on. So it'll be a flux. It'll be a flux of what I'm actually working on, but it'll be a lot more training, and I'll throw some races in there, have some fun. I'm thinking about, I'd love to do the Xterra off-road down here at Oak Mountain State Park. That's in May, and might break the mountain bike out and see, try to go out and do that thing. That would be something different, just to mix up the training a little bit.
Yeah, and I've noticed there's been a trend, it seems like, with triathlon. Like, it was all nothing but road. Get on a road, run, get on a tri bike, ride, get on a, get out in the water, swim. And you're just seeing a lot more people, I think, trying to just mix it up, to your point, do an Xterra event because it's fun to do, but it still tests, your endurance, right? Do trail running rather than just straight road running 100% of the time. Yeah, I still got to get on the road and run, but, at the same time, you can mix it up and have fun. You've just seen a lot more variety from people, and you're noticing that those skill sets still bring itself to bear in the triathlon, which is fun, right? I mean, that's you kind of, at the end of the day, we're supposed to have fun at this, right? I mean, it's like,
that's the whole goal.
It's like you get done, and you like the idea of this. Part of the fun is the suffering, to know that you've gone through that journey of getting to the finish line, and that's why it feels so satisfying when you get there. Like, I've struggled, and I've had crappy days, and I've had good days, and I've added up more good days, and I've had crappy days, and I got to the finish line, and it's a relief. But every once in a while, you can go have a side gig, go do fun, do, like you said, go do an Xterra.
I think the gravel riding has opened up people's eyes to a few other things. I mean, it's just, when you're doing mountain bike, you're doing gravel, you're working on bike handling skills. You have to have some bike handling skills. You learn them very quickly, and you're in soft, different terrain, all of that stuff, which is a huge help. It's less boring. It's certainly less boring than sitting on a trainer or just being an arrow on, just putting in the 80, 90, 100 miles or whatever the heck you need to be doing. It just mixes it up just a little bit. I like the idea that we're endurance sports athletes. We're multi-sports, not just, we're swim, bike, and run, but it could be anything. That's, they've got the Attillo swim run events now. They're coming up with some cool stuff. They've got the Chroma Team race that's here in Nashville, where you're actually in a team environment. You get to draft each other on the bike, teams of 3. This will be their second year. So, I've got to look at when that is. I might be out of town, but I know they moved the date on it, but we have to look. The Chroma Team race would be pretty cool. There's some other fun stuff that I think people are starting to experiment around with and do. Things other than pickleball.
Which is really good for lateral movement, by the way.
Which is great for lateral movement,
and for chiropractors who need extra work. I think that's part of the thing, right? I mean, I think what we're trying to do on this podcast, what we've been trying to do all along, is go do fun stuff, and it doesn't have to be that progression of, I've done a sprint, I've done an Olympic, I've done a half, I've done a full. Like, why? Have you been to Hawaii yet? It doesn't matter. Go. You're active and you're having fun, and you try something, and hey, man, that may not be the thing I like. One of the things, going back to the gravel run or the gravel race and the trail runs, the thing that that helps too is that mental unplugging of the data. Like, when you're on a road bike, you're sitting there looking at your watch, you're looking at, your speed, and you're looking at your pace, and, do I have a 51-49 split on my, I'm looking at all sorts of data. When I'm on the run, I'm like, okay, what's my split times? You go on a trail run, it's going to be whatever the trail gives you. Like, you may be running really fast, or you may be walking up a really big steep hill. Same thing on the gravel. I'm worried about what that terrain is in front of me, not if I look down at my computer, I'm going to endo over my handlebars, right? I want to be able to, and so releasing yourself sometimes from the data, that drudge of, what's my pace and all that, and just go test what your RPE, rate of perceived effort, is.
It's working on body feel. For sure.
Exactly.
I mean, that's something. And in fact, we're going to throw that in there for some runs and things for you where we're going to tell you to turn your watch off. You're going to just go out and run for an hour and you're just going to have to not pay attention. Okay. We'll see how you handle that.
I got a little hives going.
Usually,
I mean, I have data, but
usually when I have an athlete that tells me that, it was like, oh, I forgot to turn my watch on or something like that. But I did the workout. Usually, my response is, "Sure, you did."
Yeah, you did. Right. No, and I think once in a while, having an RPE race,
it needs.
You can be such a slave to data. Right. Oh my gosh, my heart rate's supposed to be here, or I'm supposed to be this fast, or I'm using this many watts. Okay, well,
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm
going
to go out on a limb and say that nobody should be wearing a heart rate monitor in the pool.
Oh,
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, don't wear a heart rate monitor in the pool.
We just started controversy right here.
Stop it.
Wow.
I mean, it's not necessary.
Send the emails to tom.regal.
Yeah. Throw all the hate mail at me you want.
Exactly.
There's that.
Why did you say that? Why is it just, it's stupid?
It's not necessary. It should be more on feel. Okay. I'm not sure if you're gathering the data, what it's going to tell you. If you're looking at effort against the clock, the time against the clock is what matters. The efficiency of your stroke matters. Your heart rate is going to be what your heart rate is. Certainly once you get out into open water. So I'm not sure what that data actually shows you because there's no pertinent data that goes along. It lags in such a way that it doesn't lock up to anything that becomes useful at this point.
Well, it would show me where my panic attack started, and then when I got pulled out of the water. That's about all it would show me.
Yeah, there's other data modules for that.
Yeah, exactly.
You could follow
the
all
OSM.
Of that. Yeah, but it's not really necessary. Especially, I mean, it's on your watch. You've got the optical reader on your watch, whatever, fine, whatever. Just don't put the extra strap on. I see people in the pool a bunch of times with the extra strap. You don't need it. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
I don't know. I partly is because I'm jealous because I can't get mine to stay on. When I put it on like that and I take one stroke, I think it's around my waist. And then I'm annoyed and bothered by this strap. And I'm just kind of like, it's not. I think it takes away from your perceived exertion, your body feel and water feel.
And that's the thing. I think with water especially, right? It's all about, making sure you can glide through the water. Yeah. And if you can glide through the water, then you're 90% there, right?
Yeah.
And then
it's body position.
Efficiency. Yeah.
It's body position. Fun. It's all body position. So cool. So we've got a ton of cool guests that I'm reaching out to. Hopefully they say yes. I got a couple fun things that we're going to talk about. We're going to try to bring in, like we normally do, some education. We're certainly going to cover a lot of what we're doing in our training, as we usually do. And then if there's other things, topics, subject matter that you want to have discussed, please send us some notes. You can reach me at TriTomR@gmail.com. You can hit us on Instagram, at the Athletes in Motion Podcast. You can get us on Facebook. You can reach out a bunch of different ways. But give us some notes, see if there's anything that you want us to actually cover. But we got some nutritionist friends we're going to have come back. We've got we've got some gravel stuff. Actually, we've got Shannon from the Tennessee Gravel. I reached out to him, met him at the Gravel Revival. Really cool dude, puts on some great gravel racing down in Alabama, Tennessee, southern, eastern Tennessee mostly, and does some really cool stuff and kind of give us a little update on the state of the gravel riding. So there's a bunch of cool stuff. We're going to cover a lot of multi-sport and endurance type stuff. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
and like you said, if there's topics you guys want, we're going to try to follow the season too. So, find experts or tips and tricks of, hey, you're starting sort of the training, and then midway through the training, how do you stay consistency? How do you handle injuries, nagging, kind of lagging pain?
Yep.
And then how do you kind of mentally prep? We like to follow sort of the season and how hopefully provide you some people and some advice and some things that can help you have fun and do a better job. So
yeah. So we're going to balance our crazy schedules, and we're going to get content out on a more regular basis, which we didn't do a little bit in the fall, but that was so much going on. So we appreciate everybody still sticking with us and being here. This is our 5th season. This is I think this is episode 76 or 77. I have to look at the numbers on it. thousands of downloads. We really appreciate everybody listening in and chiming in with all the comments and stuff. So give us, make sure you subscribe. Give us 5 stars, thumbs up, all that good stuff. It helps this get out there a little bit more, and we'll certainly have more content coming your way. We're looking forward to a great 2025.
Absolutely.
And thanks everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.